team, let's get going. Welcome to our first of our Friday upskilling sessions for our VPEs. We're really pleased to have you with us today. We know that we haven't advertised nearly enough, and so there are just 3 people, but I'd really like to just honor the 3 of you that have shown up for this learning in order for you to be able to see how we get started in helping members to do the planning that they need to be able to do in order to get themselves going for the year ahead. Maybe we can just check with the audience whether there's anything specific that you struggle with, and yeah, let's have a chat about what your expectations are for the session. Anybody?
Yes, I don't mind going first.
Fantastic.
All right, my name is Mumbi and I'm the VPE at Eagles Toastmasters in Lusaka in Zambia. And my expectations for this session, I think, is to just familiarize myself in the ocean that is VPE, because there's so much. So just to get pointers and the standards that I expected in Toastmasters in executing this role exceptionally. And I do believe that it's a long process, but to just get nuggets of it every Friday session. So I'm happy to be here and to learn. Yep.
And we're very happy to have you. Thank you for stepping forward. Anybody else?
You?
Yes, it's lovely to see you. Can I go? Oh, sorry. Let the other guy go first.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm struggling with my mic. Oh, I was struggling with my mic. Sorry. No, my name is Ndubo Kutama. I'm VPE for SEMA Toastmasters Gauteng. Expectations wise, I think I'm mostly here to listen, just to see what you guys have planned for and have prepared. I don't think I've got anything specific that I have, but yeah, that's me.
Okay. Super, thank you. And Viv, I'm not sure I can teach you anything. You've been going at this for a while.
Oh, how absolutely nonsense. I haven't been a VPE for 6 years, and I was on the VPE training, and I have to say I was absolutely blown away. Really, there's so much to learn, and things have changed since I was a VPE. So what I'm struggling with is I want to get all the agendas ready for 3 months. I love the way that it is planned. I see it helps for planning. And also it makes people, I think it would help with retention as well, because people would know what's coming forward. But what I don't know how to do is to get the agendas into easySPEAK, because they don't look like what I imagine them to be. So that's my struggle at the moment. Okay. I know there are videos, but I'm sure you can guide.
Okay. So the session today is just an hour. And so what Granny B, myself and Lynette did from last year is we broke the 2-hour training up into bite-sized pieces of learning. And so we will incrementally every week give you a bite-sized piece of learning. So today is about the members' interest survey. How do we ensure that our members are engaged in the program and that we understand what their interests are in the process? So just to set the scene, you know, we've been working in this virtual world for a while, but we really want you to maximize your presence here. So we're asking you for this little period of time to just switch off your phones and be fully present with us. Please excuse my very stuffy nose. I seem to have picked up some flu, but I promise to try and keep it to the minimum. And then if you will please take responsibility for your learning and ask what you need to ask, because there's never such thing as a stupid question. There's always somebody else in the room that's wanting to ask that question but is too scared to. So please ask your questions. And then maximum participation. We want everybody to participate, but we do ask you to just keep it simple and to the point. so that we can give everybody an opportunity. And then if you'll please stay on mute until it's your turn to speak. I'm going to try and manage this as best I can. So we want to just say this is your first step to becoming the excellent leader that you already are. In achieving success as Vice President Education, one of the first aspects we need to consider always is our club mission, and to remember that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which our members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And so the road to our member success really starts by a simple quote, which is, if you don't know where you're going, then any road is going to get you there. And understanding what you as the VPE want to achieve, what your members want to achieve, and therefore, by osmosis, what your club will need to achieve, will help us to be able to set the path and put the GPS coordinates into our Garmin or into our Google Maps or into our Waze. And so in this journey, there are a couple of tour guides that you can get your members in touch with in order to give them some support. So when somebody comes in blank spanking new as a guest, the member will connect more likely with Vice President Public Relations. And so this person needs to have a broad understanding of what the Toastmasters program is about, so that they can have a conversation with this potential member about what they can have access to. Our new members need to connect either with our Vice President membership, because remember, the Vice President Public Relations hands over to the Vice President membership, and or they can connect as a new member with the VPE, so you can interview each one of your new members for yourself, or you can assign a mentor to those new members who can have the conversation about what is it that this person needs to or wants to get out of Toastmasters. Another very successful strategy is to assign a buddy or a mentor to our new members so that they can help to ensure that, you know, there's somebody that can walk the journey with them. It creates a little bit of competitiveness and helps people to really engage and stay engaged in the process. And then, of course, you as the Vice President Education are responsible. Even if you delegate to any of these other people, you are responsible to make sure that you know what your members are interested in, what the goals are, and what they want to get out of their Toastmasters journey. So to start off with, we need to identify our members' needs or opportunities. So let's pause here. What do you think the difference is between a need and an opportunity?
Sorry, did you ask me?
I did. What's the difference for a member between a need and an opportunity?
A member's needs, that's what they imagine, not imagine, that's the wrong type of word, but what they believe is what they're looking for. The opportunity is perhaps something that hasn't been highlighted to them and something that we need to guide them into. I don't know if that makes sense.
Completely, because most people join Toastmasters for the speaking track. But once they're here, they suddenly learn about the grammarian and being able to use the language properly. They learn about managing their crutch words, and they learn about the leadership track. So there's many opportunities that we can expose them to that they never thought they could get out of Toastmasters. So thank you for that. How do we go about getting people engaged in understanding what their needs and their opportunities are? Well, the first thing is that we need to explain to them what the program offers. And as I said, most people come for the communication piece, which is about speaking, listening, thinking, and then of course by osmosis they get confidence, because the more they do it, the better they get at it, and the more confident they become. But there's also the leadership track, and in our conversations when we're helping people to identify the needs and the opportunities, it's about trying to understand where they come from in their personal and their professional life, and then matching that perhaps to some of the leadership opportunities. So if they are on a sports committee, it could be learning how to drive strategy, how to lead successful sports teams, how to inspire and motivate people to performance, and how to measure and reward success. And how do they do that? They do that by taking on, as an initial process, Toastmaster of the Day and coordinating everybody on the program to be able to deliver their assignments. They could also take on a club officer role where they learn about leadership and strategy. So it's, and you can put them onto a subcommittee. I mean, the Vice President of Education has such a big role. You can identify what are their skills and what are they good at. And perhaps they can help you to run the mentorship program, or perhaps they could help you to coordinate speaking assignments so that you can actually focus on the rest of the program. You can set up little subcommittees that help you to manage your own role. Alternatively, also teaches them a skill and lets them take on a small part of a role, so that maybe builds them towards next year taking on the whole role. What's important to understand is that in Toastmasters, there's 5 competencies. And so public speaking and interpersonal communication are speaking competencies, and strategic leadership and management are leadership competencies, and then confidence straddles the two, and these are everyday #real skills, as well as future skills that people need to be building for their professional and their personal lives. And the more you can link their what's in it for me to these competencies that they need to build in their professional and personal life, the better opportunity you're going to get that people will deliver their assignments and won't pull out on you at the last minute. You also need to understand the structure of the Toastmasters educational program. And now they've said, things have changed. So in the last 5 years, this particular map of how you get to be move from a new member through to a distinguished Toastmaster has shifted, and it entails delivering 2 pathways. Each pathway has 5 levels in it. And so level 1 is mastering the fundamentals. Level 2 is about learning your style, your speaking and your leadership style, as well as your mentoring style. Level 3 is about increasing your knowledge about the particular pathway that you're building. Level 4 is about building the skills that help you in that particular path. And then level 5 is about putting it all together and demonstrating your expertise in this particular path. And then once you've finished your first path, you can move on to your second path. Or if you're brave, you can do both paths simultaneously. So I had taken on the dynamic leadership path, and when I got to level 4, some of those assignments take a bit longer to deliver. And so I started my second path because level 1, 2, and 3 are easier assignments. And so I kind of was doing both of them at the same time. And then I eventually finished my dynamic leadership. And now I have a couple of speeches that I need to deliver and my DTM project, my second pathway. You also, from a leadership point of view, once you have a little bit more experience, you can step out of your comfort zone. First of all, you can step into a leadership role in the club, even if you're new to the club. I remember 22 years ago, I think I'd been a member all of 2 months when I was hauled onto the club committee in 2 roles, never mind about 1, because there were only 6 people in our club at that time. And Since then, I think I've never been off the committee or off of the Stratco team. So that's your first step in the leadership. But you can also go and help to support, maybe if you're new to it, somebody who's coaching a club that is struggling and has a few members. Alternatively, you could be the coach to that club. You could become a club mentor, which means you start a club completely from scratch. And you could get involved in coordinating a club, a speechcraft for an external organization. There's one that's running now for the Institute of Directors from Carpe Diem Toastmasters, and they've involved people across the spectrum. I run probably 4 or 5 of these at Standard Bank every year, and I'm always looking for facilitators to come and help me to facilitate those. And then we use that as a fundraising opportunity to be able to give, to be able to send people to conferences. So we charge the bank a little bit of money. What I have found is I always invite my newer members to come and be a secondary facilitator on those programs, because it's a quick way to get people up to speed on how to deliver outstanding speaking topics. So as part of my needs assessment, I always say to them, would you be willing to be involved in some of our speechcrafts that we run, so that, and you can then get practice on how to deliver an evaluation for somebody's speech. So understanding the structure of the program is an important aspect of linking the person's needs to what Toastmasters has to offer. And I always try to focus people initially, because this is a little bit overwhelming. I always try to focus them on the fact that you eat an elephant one small bite at a time. And so I focus on the first 3 levels and then say to them, we'll have another discussion about the next level. So how do you go about doing this? Well, first of all, Toastmasters has this form called the member interest form. Giving your member this particular form is always a great way to start the conversation about what their potential needs are. Granny B also has a Google form that she shares, template that she shares openly, and you can use that if you don't like the paper-based process. And so either you as the VPE or your tour guide can then get the member to complete the member interest survey or the Google form, and then have a conversation about the potential aspects of what the person is then interested in and what we have to offer. Give me a second. Right. We then move on, and we then say to these people, what is it that what from a competence, 5 competencies, which one of these or which 2 of these would you like to focus on in the next 3 months? Just focus on just 3 months. What would you like to focus on for the next 3 months? If they haven't completed the online assessment to decide which pathway they want to take, you can also work through the pathways with them to say what's available. Historically, we used to use very unfriendly professional language like competent communicator and advanced communicator. Nowadays, the pathways link to what kind of real life skills businesses are looking for. So dynamic leadership, effective coaching, innovative planning. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are numbers under each one of those parts. And there are actually 11 parts now. I need to change my slide because 11 parts includes humor. And each number under those particular headings relates to the competency that it's going to build. So in dynamic leadership, 1, 2, 3, and 5 means that dynamic leadership will build public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and confidence. There's no management in that particular path. So if the person's wanting to do management, this is not the path for them. If they want to focus only on public speaking, then you'll see that presentation mastery is probably the best thing to match their needs. You'll also notice that under persuasive influence, the numbers are out of order: 1, 3, 2, and 5. It just means that in that pathway, that's the order of the competencies. So they first learn about public speaking, then they learn about strategic leadership, and then they learn about interpersonal communication. And so helping that particular person to match what they filled in on their interest survey with what's available in this particular pathway is a good way for us to have the conversation and then to start saying, how do we take this forward? We say, here's which path do you want to take? And then you help them with an Excel spreadsheet to plan out the next 3 months. You say, generally I say to people, my recommendation is you do a speech every second meeting, and in the alternate meetings you take on a role. So you start out with the easier roles, like maybe the AMS counter, possibly the timekeeper, even a toast to Toastmasters International. Then you move on to something a little bit more complex, like the grammarian and the table topics master, and possibly even a members moment where you can talk about what you're learning in Toastmasters and how that's helping in your personal and professional life. And you work your way slowly up until they get to the place where they can be Toastmaster. And so what I like to do at the beginning of the year is assign every person an opportunity during the year to be the Toastmaster. And then that's part of how we build them up to that skill, because if I'm a new Toastmaster, I know I'm going to be delivering the Toastmasters role in 4 meetings time, so I can be actively watching these next 4 Toastmasters for tips on how I can be a better Toastmaster. And that will help us to, again, make sure that people are meeting their needs and have opportunities to grow. We want to ensure that we document that and we help them to grow. And then the other thing I like to do as part of my needs assessment is explain the Toastmasters Promise, so that everybody understands that they're committing to actively participating in the program. And so when we look at this, you've all seen the Toastmasters Promise, I've no doubt, but what they're essentially promising is to attend their meetings regularly, to take on a project and deliver those projects in the most appropriate way, to fulfill those assignments when they've asked for an assignment, to make sure that they help to maintain a positive and friendly environment, and that when they're called to do so, they step up into a leadership role. What I also say to people, especially around the assignment piece, is if I commit to doing an assignment, then I need to follow through on that, because if I cancel 1 or 2 or 3 days before, I'm taking away an opportunity for somebody else who could have taken on that role. So my club meets on a Tuesday. If somebody cancels on the Monday, they've robbed somebody of an opportunity over the weekend to prepare to deliver a speech. And you've robbed them of the opportunity to learn from how you would deliver a particular assignment. So when you fall out of the program, it's not only yourself that you are robbing of an opportunity, you're robbing other people of an opportunity too. So please use, I say this to my people, please use the opportunity that you have been given, because it creates the accountability for every member, both to themselves and accountability to the club. So ladies and gentlemen, that's really what we wanted to share with you today around member needs. And for us to then say, what is it that you are struggling with in your club around member needs? And maybe as a team, we can come up with some solutions that you can use that are innovative to understand what people's needs are and how we can match the program to them. So yeah, please turn on your cameras and let's have an engaged conversation here. What's your thoughts about matching needs and opportunities to the Toastmasters program?
Sorry, just repeat your question. You
What's
broke up.
What's your interpretation, or what's your experience in matching needs to what's available in Toastmasters?
So I discovered that my leadership style is a little bit dictatorial, especially in the way of a VPE. So I have a spreadsheet, I have a whiteboard, and I plan everything, and I know where we're going to go. I am basically a little bit dogmatic. And I have to change this because I realize that you've got to meet the needs. Some people just don't want to go at the same speed you want. So
Yes.
I love the fact that they do it's all about their needs, but also to motivate. I do find that people lag behind really from fear. So that's I try to encourage them to move through their fear and just step out in faith, because it is a safe place to fail.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that tip. It's a useful tip because people do get stage fright, and then that's one of the reasons why they cancel at the last minute. All right. Anybody else want to add anything or ask anything about matching needs and what the Toastmasters program has to offer?
I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry, someone turned on their video. Must one make it structured and inform all club members that we're going to do a member survey, or is it advisable to rather do it in an organic member and just start reaching out to each individual member of the club?
What do you think? Because you know your club best. What do you think is going to work best in your club?
I know it works for me. I think I like the structure part, but I think each member is a bit different. And also, I have a question around, do you follow the same strategy with Toastmasters that have been in the game for a while? Because those who have been there have a different why as compared to those who are fairly new. Although I do feel like all of them have needs or reasons as to why they're still part of Toastmasters. So how do you treat Toastmasters that have been around for long as compared to those that are fairly new?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I obviously have some opinions about it, but let's see if the audience has any responses to that. What do you think? You need to treat your experienced members different to your new members? Anybody want to?
I can say something.
Okay, go Viv.
Sorry, I don't want to talk too much, but we have some very long-standing members in our club, and what I find is that sometimes they seem to get sidetracked, especially in the bigger roles, because the roles get given to the newer members, and then what happens is they start to feel sidelined, and they don't want to continue. So I find, because I'm also a long-standing member and I don't want to be an evaluator every single meeting for 10 or 12 weeks or whatever it is, I make sure that they are valued. They've got to feel valued. Because we do value them, the fact that they have kept their membership going for 10 years, sometimes 20 years, they need to be valued, and they do have needs and they will change. So I like the idea, and my personal opinion, Mumbi, is that you go personally to each person, because you're going to grow a relationship with that person. That's just my humble opinion, but I do believe that that is going to serve you well, and it's going to develop relationships with your team members that they will want to stay on board with you as the VPE. Sorry, just my opinion.
I wouldn't be sorry for that opinion, Viv. That's a very, very solid advice. Completely solid. And I would concur with that, is that it depends on the size of your club, and that's why it's important to share the load. So in some clubs, I know at one point Centurion Toastmasters had 50 members. That's impossible for one VPE to get to all of those people. So having everybody on the club committee takes 3 or 4 people that they take under their wing, and they help those people to match their needs to what they need on the program. And it builds the relationship. It definitely does. The other side of your members who've been around for a while is to connect with your area director, because there's always a whole lot of things happening at area and district level that need volunteers. And so helping to connect your members to your area director and things that are happening, like there's club competition, there's area competitions. You could even be, your area director could even set up some social engagements like a Poiki Pot competition or other things that are happening that you could help your members to get connected into those spaces, because then they're learning skills that's outside of your club as well. They're learning to engage with other people. You could also be getting your guys to learn to judge contests or to go visit other clubs. And the other thing I also like to give new members who've been around for a long time is to deliver educational. So to go to the club success and the speaker success series and say to them, we really need somebody to talk to us about mentoring. Please come and deliver an assignment for us on mentoring. You know, I go and deliver a lot of educationals at other clubs, but they always ask me, because I've been around for 22 years, but I started somewhere. Somebody said to me, here's the material for a Toastmaster wears many hats, all the different roles that are in Toastmasters. And I just took the material and I then started to train it and to do a 20-minute educational slot. So there's lots of things that you can do to keep your more experienced members engaged. So I hope that answers your question, Mumbi. Does it?
Absolutely, it does. Thank you. I'm taking notes.
Fantastic. Okay, any other questions about connecting your members with any? Okay, let's see. There was something in the chat. What about Speechcraft? Oh, okay. Speechcraft. Yes. So you can, I'll put my number in the, I'll put my email into the chat box. And you can email me if you're interested in getting involved. Ones that I have coming up now are face-to-face ones at Rosebank, Standard Bank Rosebank. So we'll need people who are able to physically come. But there may be a few others that I would run later in the year that may have virtual components. So just let me know. Okay, so any last questions? Anything else you want to ask about member needs, member opportunities, connecting people with area directors and outside of the process?
Yes, if I may, Granny B.
Okay, it's Karen. I'm on Granny B's Zoom, but it's Karen. Sorry, I should have introduced myself.
Sorry.
I don't want you going to get us confused.
I actually had a word with the previous VPE and president yesterday regarding setting up a mentorship program.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you guys had any recommendations in terms of making it work. Suppose you were a mentor, what would be the expectations? Is it continuously checking in, getting them booked in for speaking roles, or what would be the best way to get the best out of the member?
Okay. Toyota, that's quite a big topic, and I know that there are some videos available of that in Granny B's website. But again, you know, there's wonderful material in Toastmasters. So that level 2 mentorship program gives you a good understanding of who you need to be and how you can set up a mentoring program. And then there's Mentoring Without Borders, which is a district-run program that also can be utilized. So let me get Granny B to maybe send you some of the videos that you can get connected, but you're also welcome to reach out to any one of the three of us, Granny B, myself, or Lynette, maybe set up a session where we can just talk you through some, some aspects of what works for us.
All right, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay. All right, then, without laboring the point, thank you so much for joining our Friday session. As we said, it's just a 1-hour session to just get you going on the aspects of being a VPE, because this is a big role. Next week, we will be offering you the next aspect of this particular program. So next week, we will be talking about interviewing. So what is the interview process that you can use? Oh no, sorry, that was part of this. It's about planning the progress with them. So how do you go about actually putting together a member sheet and then building out your own Excel spreadsheet, like Viv was speaking about. She's got an Excel spreadsheet where she puts everybody's names. So we will show you those Excel spreadsheets. I've got one, Granny B's got one. So you can choose the best of the best and then take that forward from there. So I will hang around, but we are done with the session. Just let me know if there's anything that you need from me. I'm going to stop the recording and we can, and then we'll see you next week.